I welcome everyone to our YouTube channel Agri Organics. In this video we will see how to prepare for UGC NET JRF, that is Environmental Science Paper 2. This video will be especially useful for all the agricultural graduates or agricultural students, those who are writing this environmental sciences, one of the paper for this UGC NET JRF. So many of the students, those who are studying PG or PhD agriculture are writing this environmental science, especially in order to get this JRF. So last time I have cleared UGC NET JRF. So I am giving this video based on my experience, what I have got the questions for the past 2 years or for the past 2 times, and what method I have planned for the studying. So I am giving this method for you also to prepare for this environmental science. So I hope this video will be useful to all the students or graduates, those who are doing or those who are preparing for this environmental science. Till now, according to our guessing, there are nearly 20 to 25 days for UGC NET, especially our environmental science paper. So within this time you can able to prepare for this UGC NET JRF if you follow this way. So this video will be very useful to you. If you are new to our channel, you can subscribe to our channel for further environmental science guidance and other agricultural related courses guidance. So with respect to this paper 1, we have already uploaded video. So that video link is in this iCard and in the end screen and in the description of this video. You can watch that video for environmental science paper 1, that is for general aptitude. With regard to this environmental science, that is paper 2, that subject code is 89, you can leave that one. But with regard to this units, there are 10 units. So with regard to this 10 units, I have divided according to agriculture syllabus. So with regard to this environmental science, we have already studied all the courses in our agriculture course, that is UG agriculture or UG horticulture, whatever you may have studied related to agriculture course. For example, with regard to this 10 units, most of the units are already what we have studied in our BSc agriculture. So if you are studying the two MSc agronomy or soil science or entomology or some other meteorology courses, then this will be very useful to you in order to clear this one. So with regard to this, I have classified this different questions based on our agriculture subject. So with regard to this, when you read meteorology, so with regard to this meteorology, the climate or wind, something, many things will be covered. So from that itself, there will be 5 to 10 questions. So next, with regard to the soil science, how earth has been formed, whether that different laws are there, and after that how weathering will occur, and what are the particle size of USDA textile classification, like that many questions will be there. From the soil science itself, there will be 5 to 10 questions. So according to our subject, I have classified here. Next, in our MSc, one PGS course, there is one course, disaster management. From this disaster management course, if you studied that entire course, means surely you will get 5 questions. Next, with regard to this entomology, we have studied ecology. So with regard to this ecology, this environmental sciences, most of the part will be covered with this regard to ecology. So with regard to this ecology, there will be surely 8 to 10 questions will be there. Next, with related to this microbiology and pesticides, only I have given 5 questions here, but there are chance for nearly 10 questions also, because that cycles are there. N cycle, next to phosphorus cycle, carbon cycle, like this many cycles are there. You may have noted that one, sulfur cycle, like that. So in that cycles also there will be more questions. So with regard to this microbiology and pesticides, there will be nearly 10 questions. Next, with regard to the statistics, there are 10 questions from statistics. The two what we have studied in our UG or in MSc. So with regard to that statistics, 10 questions are there. If you study this statistics very well, surely you can get able to write correctly at least 8 questions. So this is one of the important information. Next, with regard to this pollution, there are different type of the pollution. Here I have given only 5 questions, but there are different types of pollution. With regard to that, you can get at least 7 or 8 questions. Next, with regard to this passage question, there will be 2 set of passage question. Each question will have 5 questions. So 5 plus 5, totally 10 questions will be there. So answer will be present in that passage only. They will ask some 5 questions in each section, and you have to write that one. So at least you can get 8 answers, 8 correct answers from that one. So here they will have ask 10 questions. Next, with regard to the syllabus, for example, in syllabus they may have given some acts in bracket. For example, if they mention that Environmental Protection Act, surely they may have mentioned 1986. So like that, different acts will be there and different schemes will be there. They have mentioned that years in their bracket. So if you go through well through this syllabus means surely you can get at least 5 to 8 questions. So here with regard to this, I have given some basic only. So 7, 7, 5, 8, 5, 10, 5, 10, next plus 8. Totally here itself you can get 65 questions. So here I have again added 5, then again I have added some 2 like that. You leave all that one. Here itself you can get 65 questions. Now when you get the 65 into 2, you can able to get this 130 marks. Next with regard to this paper 1. So paper 1 there will be some 50 questions. If you get at least some 35, you can able to get 70 marks. So 130 plus 70, you can able to score this at least 200 marks in this itself, but I too scored only 194. You can leave that one, but just I am telling, if you prepare like this, you can able to score this easily. So this is the method what I have prepared. I have never used any materials or books for this paper 2 preparation. What I have studied or what I have undergone in my courses, for example, in first semester of my PhD, I had this meteorology course. One meteorology course was there, and a soil science course what we have studied in MSc, something related like that. And next with regard to this, some courses are this microbiology course was there. So in that this cycles everything may came. Next we had one statistics course. So from that itself I have utilized many things, and what we have studied in MSc, especially with regard to this disaster management like that. So I have compiled like that only. I have used only my MSc study material, and with regard to this environmentals, we have studied environmental science in our agriculture, that is in BS agriculture. We have studied this environmental science also as one course, that is in TNA you may have studied as ENS, like that one course is there. So if you study that also, you can able to get this clearly. So this is how I have classified it here. Next with regard to the syllabus, here I am having the syllabus. So with regard to the syllabus, I will tell how to read this one. This is unit number 1. So with regard to this fundamental of environmental science, there may be definition of environmental science, where these words are derived from which language, like that it will be there. So it will come under this definition, principle and scope of environmental science. You can read that one. Next with regard to the structure and composition of atmosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere and biosphere. In our meteorology, we have studied this stratification of atmosphere. So you may have noted that one: troposphere, stratosphere, ionosphere, ozonosphere, exosphere, like that. So like that some composition is there. If you study that one, that stratification of atmosphere, surely you can get at least 1 or 2 questions. So this is one of the important information. Next with regard to this hydrosphere, what is the composition of earth, water content in the atmosphere or in the earth surface, that is how much percentage is present in glaciers, how much percentage is fresh water, how much it is present in oceans, like that it's there. So you can read that one. Next with regard to this lithosphere, how earth crust is made up of. So crust, mantle, core and different layers will be there. So with regard to that one, how it to manage. Next with regard to this biosphere, what are the living organisms that are living in this earth surface. So you can read this one, and surely from this line itself you can get at least 3 or 4 questions. So surely you note this one, you can get at least 3 or 4 questions. Next with regard to this laws of thermodynamics, you may have already read in your school. So in physics or chemistry, law of thermodynamics is there. For example, heat can neither be energy can neither be created nor can be destroyed, but it can be transferred from one form to another form. So that is an example for this laws of thermodynamics. And heat transfer process. In our agriculture, we have studied conduction, convection, radiation. That is part of this heat transfer process. So like that you can read. This and all is somewhat different, but with regard to this agriculture, these two will cover. Next with regard to this meteorological parameters, that is ours only: pressure, temperature, precipitation, humidity, how relative humidity is calculated, how precipitation, what is minimum rainfall. So next mixing ratio, saturation ratio, radiation, wind velocity, solar radiation, how much is the global solar radiation, what we are receiving, that is a photosynthetically active radiation, what is PR, what is wind velocity, what is adiabatic lapse rate, that is 6.9 degrees Celsius per kilometer. Next, what is environmental lapse rate. Next, wind roses. Wind roses are some technical or graphical representation or figures that are used to represent that wind. So like that, the different materials are there. With regard to this meteorology, surely you can get what I told already, that is 5 to 10 questions. Next, with regard to this interaction between earth, man and the environment, biogeographic provinces of the world, agroclimatic zones of India, concept of sustainable development. This concept of sustainable development is very important. There are I think so 27 sustainable development principles are there. You can just go through once. But with regard to this agroclimatic zones of India, you can read by yourself, as you have surely you may have read in your UG. Next, with regard to this interaction between man, earth and environment, just you can go through that one. Next is natural resources and their assessment. Natural resources means how natural resources are there, like that. But with regard to this topic, you can leave here. It will come very deep in next units. Next, with regard to this remote sensing, you all know about remote sensing also. What are the principles of the remote sensing, how image is created, and how it is used in all the planning and management, how the sensors are used, what is the wavelength of that radiation. So like that, many factors are there. You can go through what is meant by remote sensing and GIS. Next is environmental education, awareness and environmental ethics. So this is just some information, basic information. You can leave that one, you can read later. So with regard to this unit, you can get 10 questions. So this 10 questions may be from, most of this 10 question will be from this structure, thermodynamics, and up to this remote sensing. In remote sensing, there may be 2 to 3 questions. Next, in this natural resources, you leave this one. And with regard to this, there may be 2 questions. And here there may be 3 to 5 questions. And here, so you can get at least 10 questions from this. In each unit, there will be 10 questions. There are 10 units. There are totally 100 questions are there. From each unit, there will be 10 questions. Next, with regard to this environmental chemistry, so here fundamentals of environmental chemistry, you may have known this one, classification of element, how elements are classified, that is periodic table. So what is this kind of Gibbs energy, stoichiometry, chemical kinetics. So if you read that in BS agriculture itself, if you have read that analytical chemistry means, surely you can able to understand this kind of things. Next is the composition of air. So air composition, what is the composition of carbon dioxide or oxygen, like that it is. Next with regard to the speciation, for example, how it is affecting, so how Earth's composition of air is affecting, like that something may have given. Next with regard to this ozone chemistry is very important. Next to photochemical reaction is very important. Next to photochemical smog is important. So there are different type of smogs. So like that London smog will be there and the Los Angeles smog will be there. So like that different types are there. Next with regard to this hydrological cycle, as I told already, here with regard to this hydrosphere itself, this hydrological cycle also will come. Next, what is meant by this universal solvent, how water is used as an universal solvent, what is principle of behind this. Next, demand of oxygen, biological oxygen demand, chemical oxygen demand. Next is sedimentation, coagulation, flocculation. So like this, what is meant by pH, who created this pH, what is the scale of pH, so what is minimum pH, what is acidic, what is neutral, like that. Next with regard to redox potential, if oxidation and reduction occurs, it is a redox potential, what is its value. So this also we have studied in our agriculture, especially in irrigation management. Next with regard to this organic and inorganic component of salts, we all know that one. What are the components of the salt? We may have read this one, classified earth, and we have divided this one. So like this, here 5% will be organic carbon, remaining will be minerals, 45% will be mineral, 25% will be pores, 25% will be moisture content. This 25% will be pores means that is air. So like that it will be there, that is the components. Next with regard to this biogeochemical cycle, as I told already, nitrogen, carbon, phosphorus and sulfur. So different cycles are there, how it is converted. So this is an this biogeochemical cycles. Next with the toxic chemical, what are the toxic chemicals? How pesticides. So with regard to this pesticides, what is fungicide or what is insecticide, or give an example for fungicide, insecticide, like that questions may be there. So these are the very easy questions as Agri students can attend. Next with the biochemical aspects of heavy metals. So what is meant by heavy metal? I think so, for example, if that specific gravity is more than 5 gram per cc, so it is known as this heavy metal. So how it is metalloid? So like this some things are there. What are the carcinogens present in air? Next with regard to this principles of analytical chemistry, so analytical methods, tritimetry, gravimetry, bomb calorimetry, so chromatography, flame photometry. Next like this electrophoresis, something is there. You have to read this one. Surely from this there may be 2 questions. So this is how we can read this environmental chemistry, that is unit 2. So as an agriculture graduate, we have read most of these topics. Next with regard to this environmental biology, so this is somewhat a big unit. So with regard to this ecology, so how ecology, what is meant by ecology, how life has been originated, how human settlement occurred, like this it will be. Next with regard to this ecosystem structure and function, biotic and abiotic components are there. With regard to this flow of energy in ecosystem, that is energy flow models, how food chain, what is meant by food chain, what is meant by food web. Then again they have given this biogeochemical cycle, you can leave here. Next with regard to this ecological succession, there are different types of the succession. For example, climate matrix, something like that. A succession is there. Succession means if one thing is ended, next another thing will start. So one that will end, another will start. Like that succession will be there. Next diversity, next concept of ectone, edge effect. Like this many factors are there. This and all what we have studied in our ecology in our that entomology. Next, with regard to this basis of ecosystem classification, type of ecosystem: desert, forest, rangeland, wetland, lone teak, lentic, estuarine, and oceanic. This is what we have may studied in meteorology, or something we may have studied in our environmental science only. So what is the meaning of this one? Like that you can think. Next, with regard to this biomes, how it is classified, how it is distributed, and there are different type of the biomes such as tundra, taiga, grassland, deciduous forest, or you may have studied this in geography in your 10th standard. So how this tropical savanna forest, how its rainfall is there, so like that. Next, with regard to this population ecology, in this one of the important information is what is meant by this R species, what is meant by K species, what is metapopulation. Next, what is ketone species. Like this, different species are there. So this also we have studied in our entomology with regard to ecology. Next is community ecology. So this community ecology also we have studied in that one. Next, we all know that what is meant by parasitism, what is meant by predation, what is meant by herbivory. Like that, all we have studied that one. Next, with regard to this biodiversity and its conservation, what are the type of this biodiversity and importance of biodiversity? What is meant by hotspot? We know what is meant by biodiversity. How many hotspots are present in world? How many hotspots are present in India? So what is the method used for this conservation? What is in situ? Next, what is ex situ? And how many number of national parks are presented in India? How many protected areas are present? What is sacred groves? So sacred grove means something. In Tamil, we will tell it as Kovil Kadagal. For example, with respect to the temple, there may be some forest area. So like that, some environment will be protected. So this is an example for that one. So how many are present in this? For example, with regard to this, how many national park is presented in India? So they may ask question. Easily we can get one question. So like that, some questions will be there. Next, with regard to this concept of gene pool. Next, to biopiracy and bioprospecting. This is all what we have studied in our 10th or 12th standard only. Next, concept of restoration ecology. Next, extinct, rare, endangered, threatened flora and fauna of India. This is very important. You can go through this one. Very, very important topic, this one. Next is concept of industrial ecology. Next, toxicology and microbiology. With regard to this, there are some toxic agent. What is meant by this acute toxicity? What is meant by chronic toxicity? What is the concept of this bioassay? How we will assay that one? Next, assay the chemicals like that. What is meant by biotransformation? This biotransformation is very important. Next to the some of the waterborne and airborne disease. Just you can get this one if you search in Google also. For example, cholera or malaria, how it is spread. Like that. Next, with regard to this environmental biotechnology, what is meant by biotechnology, how biotechnological crops are produced. So with regard to this genetic engineering, you can get something. Next, with regard to this bioremediation, what is meant by bioremediation, what is the type of bioremediation? You may have studied this in irrigation management or something with regard to this environmental science only, and how the role of plants in bioremediation and in situ and ex situ bioremediation. Next, to bioindicators. So these bioindicators are important. Next, for example, if lichens is present, it indicates the presence of sulfide something or air pollution in air. So like that, some bioindicators are there. Next, with regard to this biofertilizer, how biofertilizers are produced, like that, what are the types of biofertilizer, that also we have studied. Next, with regard to this biofuels, there are different type of biofuels made from, such as pungamia or sugar cane, something like that is there. So with regard to this, they may ask one question. Next, biosensor. Biosensors also, it is similar to this bioindicator. You can get this one. From this unit also, there will be 10 questions. From each unit, there will be 10 questions. But this is one of the biggest unit. You can go through that one. But in this unit also, most of the subject we have covered already in our agriculture courses. Next, with regard to this environmental geosciences, origin of the earth, how earth has been origin, as I mentioned in soil science. So like that, it will be there. Next, formation of core, mantle, crust, atmosphere, like that. Next, with regard to this concept of mineral and rock, formation of igneous, metamorphic and sedimentary rocks, and how this tectonic plate theory and like this came. So these and all we have studied in our soil science, that is introductory to soil science. Next, concept of steady state equilibrium. This is one of the important. Next, energy budget of earth. So this is what we have studied in our meteorology. Next, Earth's thermal environment and reason. Coriolis forces. Coriolis force is very important. Pressure gradient force is very important. Frictional force is important. These forces are very important. This and all what we have studied in meteorology. Next, with regard to this climate of India, western disturbances, Indian monsoon, this and all we studied in meteorology. Next, El Nino, La Nino, it is also we have studied in meteorology. Next, this residence time. So this residence time is somewhat important. You can go through that one. Next, with regard to this weathering. So how weathering will be occur, how the soil will be formed, how minerals will be formed, like that. Next, soil physical properties. So what are the types of the soil, how the climate has this soil formation, what is meant by soil chemical properties, what are the different type of soil chemical properties, like that. Next is the geochemical classification of elements. So how much the earth has or what is the quantity of chemical compounds in the earth surface, like that it's there. Next is paleoclimate. This paleoclimate is one of the new topic, you can go through that one. Next is distribution of water in earth, hydrology, hydrogeology. So these and all what I told already. This Darcy's law is very important, you can go through that one. This also what we have studied in our irrigation management. Next with regard to this pollution of groundwater resources, this law is there, you can go through this one. With regard to this fresh saline water, this law, so this law is important. Some last time I think so they have asked this question. Next with regard to this natural resource exploration and exploitation, you can go through this one. And hazards, so there are different hazards. This is what I told in that disaster management course. So from this you can get 10 questions. So this is also one of the important topic. Little it is a big unit also, but we can get more most of the questions. This is also what we have covered in our agriculture syllabuses. Next with regard to this fifth unit, this is energy and environment. So this is the sun as a source of energy. What is solar radiation? What are its spectral characteristics? For example, sun emits solar radiation in the form of electromagnetic energy. So like that, what is meant by incident radiation, what is meant by outgoing radiation, what is meant by albedo, what is the net radiation, like the different factors are there. So how much percentage is reflected back, how much percentage is retained on the earth surface. So like the different factors are there, you can go through that one. This is what we have studied in meteorology. Next to the fossil fuels. So with regard to this fossil fuel, we may have studied in our engineering courses. So with regard to this in agriculture, we have studied some 2 to 3 engineering courses. So in that courses we have studied this one, what is coal, petroleum, how its classification, how it is compounds, methane, coal bed. So like that it's there. This gross calorific value and net calorific value is important. Next is the principles of generation of hydropower, tidal energy, solar energy, geothermal energy, wind power. So this is also important what we have studied in our engineering courses. Solar collectors, photovoltaic cells, like that. Next, nuclear energy, nuclear fission, nuclear fusion, nuclear reactors, principles and types. What are the type of the nuclear reactor, or how many reactors are situated in India, where it is located, like that. Next, bioenergy, methods to produce energy from biomass. For example, we are having bulk biomass. Bulk biomass means, for example, agriculture residue are there. So with regard to this agriculture residue, how we can produce this energy. For example, in sugar mills, with that bagasse we can able to produce electricity. Like this, different methods are there. This is also what we have studied in engineering in our agriculture courses. Next, with regard to this environmental implication to use energy. Energy use pattern in India and world, how energy is used in India and world. Next, how in developing countries. Next, radiating force, what is meant by global warming. Next, some of the impacts. So just you can go through that one. Next, with regard to this environmental pollution and control, this is what we have studied in our environmental science. Purely, if you have studied the environmental science course in your UG agriculture, you can go through this one. This is very, very important topic with regard to this air pollution. What are the sources of air pollution? What are the type of the pollutants? Next, with regard to this, what are the criteria for air pollutant? How much it is present in the air? So like that, different criteria are there. Next, here you can able to see this principles and instruments used for measurement. That is ambient air pollution concentration and stack emission. This is also important. Next, Indian National Ambient Air Quality Standards. This is one of the important air quality standard. There are table with regard to this. You can go through that one. Next, with regard to this air pollution, how this acid rain is caused, then dispersion of the air pollutant. There will be different dispersion. There is one model such as Gaussian dispersion model. So this Gaussian dispersion model is important. You can go through that one. Next, with regard to this lapse rate, I told already. Here you can able to see this Gaussian plume model. Like the different metals are there. Next, in order to control for this particulate matter, we will tell particulate matter 2.5, particulate matter 10. So what are this particulate matter and how it's working, what is the principle behind this, and what are the devices that are used for collecting of this air pollutants, such as settling chamber, centrifugal collectors. If you are not having any material, if you search in Google, surely it will come. Next, with regard to this control of gaseous pollutant, there are different methods such as adsorption, absorption, condensation. Like this, something is there. This indoor air pollution is very, very important. Vehicular emissions and urban air quality is also very important. What is the act with regarding to this vehicular emissions? Next, in Delhi, there is one odd even formula. There was this odd even formula was there for using of the cars. So like that, some principles were there. So this is with regard to this air pollution. Surely there will be some 1 or 2 to 3 questions. With regard to this, if you not studied also, you can attend at least 2 questions. Next, with regard to this noise pollution. So with regard to this noise pollution also, what are the sources? Next, how this measurement is done, what is meant by these values, LUQ, L10, L90, L50, LDN, TNI, you note this one and you get that one. Next, with the what are the noise control measures we can take, we can plant trees, like that some measures are there. And what is the noise pollution standard, that is some decibels will be there in during daytime and night time. So during different hours we have to use this different methods, so we have to go through that one. So this is some of the important topic. Next, with regard to this water pollution, what are the source of water pollution, how it is affecting human, animal, like that, and water quality parameters, for example pH, EC, turbidity, TDS, hardness, chloride, salinity, demand, next BOD, COD, nitrate. So like this many parameters are there, we can note that one. Next, with regard to this microbiological analysis, what is the quantity of microbes or something minimum limit or maximum limit that is to be present, so you can go through that one. Next, with regard to this Indian standards for drinking water, so as I told already, in bracket there may be something. So with regard to this, for example, they may ask, they make you Indian standards for drinking water, what is this ISO number? So with regard to this ISO number, 10,500 is to 2012. So this is one question we can attend easily. So like this some questions may come. So next, with regard to this drinking water treatment, how this drinking water can be treated, and we can use this one, for example coagulation, flocculation, sedimentation, filtration, like that. Next, how this wastewater is treated, so primary treatment, secondary treatment, some advanced treatment methods are there. There's a common effluent treatment plant is also there. So like this what we have studied in our environmental science course, we can read that one. Next, with regard to this soil pollution, physiochemical and biological properties of the soil, what we have discussed earlier. Next, analysis of soil quality, how to control the soil pollution, so how this industrial effluents and it's interacting with the soil compounds, and how this soil microorganisms will help in the degradation of pesticide and synthetic fertilizers. So this is the topic what we have studied in our environmental science course only. Next, with regard to this thermal, marine and radioactive, so here some pollutants are there, you go through this one, this is also important. Next, this radioactive pollution also important, so you can just go through this one, but this is in that much deep we may not have studied in our UG agriculture. You can go through this one, but all are easy topics only. Next, with regard to this solid and hazardous waste management, so there are different types of waste, we all know. With regard to the solid waste, what are the types and what are the sources? Next, with the what is the characteristics and how it's generated in India per urban or per home, how this solid waste is generated, what is the quantity, like that. So with regard to this container system, this container system is very important, how the containers are there, how it is transferred from one place to another, like that, and how it is getting processing and recovery. So in with regard to this solid waste, we should not dump it directly, so for that some recycling or recovery methods also available. Next, with regard to this, as I told, that biomass utilization, we can utilize the solid waste also for this electricity production. Next, with regard to this disposal of solid waste, the sanitary landfilling, so incineration, that and all what we have studied in our 10th standard, so that is coming here. Next, with regard to this hazardous waste management, what are the types and what are the characteristics and its impact on health. Next, hazardous waste management, there are different methods such as neutralization, oxidation, precipitation, solidification, these are there, you can go through that one. Next, with regard to this e-waste, e-waste means how it is classified and how it is handled and how it is disposed. Fly ash, so we all may know what is meant by fly ash. So example, in the brick kilns there will be this fly ash, so we can utilize that one for our agriculture lands also, like this some methods are there. And plastic waste, so how this plastic waste are produced. With regard to this bioplastics also there, so what is the act governing this one, so like that some information is there, you can go through that one. Next, with regard to this unit also, there will be 10 questions, so this is one of the small unit only, but you can surely, you can, if you read this one, you can get that one, but majority of this you may not have studied in our agriculture courses, you can, but there will be more chance to get good marks from this unit, because this is one of the generalized topic. Next, with regard to this environmental assessment and management legislation, so this is one of the important unit. So in this unit you can able to get more questions even that too in the syllabus only. So how I will tell here. So aim and objectives of environmental impact assessment. You note that here what is that environmental impact assessment. Next with regard to this, there are some guidelines are there. So here the process are there. Next to this environmental audit. So these are all important only. Next with regard to this environmental management system standard. What is this ISO series? So 14,000. So with regard to this 14,000 series, there are different sub series are there. So we have to note that one. Next EIA notification in the year 2006, and there are different amendments were there. They may ask what is the notification year of EIA. So here itself answer is that 2006. Some eco labeling schemes are there. For example, they will keep one part. So what is the meaning for this one? So here in some places you may have noted this one. So like this some circles will be there. What is the meaning for this one? So they may ask in examination. So these kind of things we can attend easily. Next with regard to this risk assessment, how this risk are assessed, like that something is there. So you can, I think so you may not find any material for this, but if you get, you can go through that one. So this paragraph is very important. These three are very important. If you memorize each and every line, surely you can get at least 3 to 4 questions. Minimum you can get 4 questions with regard to this 3 paragraphs. Surely I will assure you. So for example, what are the environmental laws in India? So in Indian RTL constitution there are 2. One is 48A and 51A. With regard to this, surely they will ask one question. Next, what is Wildlife Protection Act and its amendment, Forest Conservation Act, Indian Forest Act, and when it is revised, Biological Diversity Act 2002, Water Prevention, Water Act, when is Water Act, when is Air Act, when is Motor Vehicle Act. So something, many acts are there. You can memorize the years and you can get what is the role of that one. For example, with regard to this biomedical waste management rules, there are different colors. I think so 4 or 5 colors of that dustbins will be there. We have to dispose each and every different type of this medical waste into different colors. So like that it's there. Next, construction and demolition waste, manufacture, storage, import of hazardous chemical. Next with this batteries rule. Next with the Public Liability Insurance Act, noise pollution, coastal regulation zone. With regard to this coastal regulation zone, it is very important. I think so 3 or 4 type of this CRs may be there. So this and all very important. So from this itself you can get at least 1 or 2 questions. Next with regard to this forest policy, there is what is the year of forest policy? What is the year of national water policy? What is now it has came that Jal Shakti mission of Jal Shakti. Next, what is the year of national environmental policy? Like that you can get questions. Next, with regard to this environmental convention and agreements, Stockholm conference, when it is acquired, what is meaning for this Montreal protocol? Why it is acquired? Next, what is the conference of parties, where it is acquired? Next, Basel Convention, Ramsar Convention on wetlands. How many wetlands are present in India? How many wetlands are present in the world? Next, Earth Summit. What is mean by this Rio de Janeiro? What are the things or what are the prescriptions or what are the agreements taken at that Earth Summit? So what is meant by Agenda 21? What are the principles? How it is achieved? So like that, what is Global Environmental Facility? What is Convention on Biodiversity? UNFCCC, Kyoto Protocol, Clean Development Mission. So if you read this everything, so from this itself, surely you can get at least 4 questions. Especially with regard to this years, you can get at least 2 or 3 questions. So this unit is very important. Especially this is very important. You can go through that one. You can read this. This is very important. But this what may have this may we have not read in our BS Agriculture courses. But this is very important. This is easy also. You can read this one. Next, with regard to the statistical approaches. So we all know what is meant by attribute, variable, what are the type of variable, scale of measurement, central tendency, dispersion, standard error, kurtosis, skewness, probability. Next, like this many things are there. Normal distribution, binomial, Poisson, TF, everything what we have studied earlier in our statistics courses. In MSc or PhD, we are regularly doing this statistics only. So it will be very useful to us. Regression, correlation, what is that value, minus infinity to plus infinity, what is ANOVA, t-test, 1-way ANOVA, 2-way ANOVA, like that many things are there. Next, with regard to this development, linear, simple, multiple regression model. So like this something are there. Next, with regard to this models of population growth, Lotka, Ultra model and Lesis matrix model. So these are some 2 models that are not related to purely to statistics but related to the environment. So you can go through that one. Next, with regard to this, there are different other types also. So you can go through that one. And another one is what is meant by parametric test, what are the non-parametric tests. So this is also important. Last time they have asked in that they will give different types and they will ask whether it is parametric or non-parametric test. Next from the statistics we can get 10 question. From this 10 question at least we can able to clear some 8 questions. Next with regard to this complementary and environmental issues. So with regard to this what are the environmental issues that are we are facing. So with regard to this global environmental issues, biodiversity loss, how climate change is occurring, how ozone layer is getting depletion, why sea level is increasing, why temperature is increasing like that. Next with the National Action Plan on Climate Change, this is very important. There are 8 national missions in India. One is National Solar Mission, National Mission for Enhanced Agriculture Energy Efficiency, Sustainable Habit, Water Mission, Sustaining the Himalayan Ecosystem, National Mission for Green India, Sustainable Agriculture, Strategic Knowledge for Climate Change. You should read, you should note what is the year and what is the role or objective of these schemes. Next with the current environmental issues in India. So environmental issues means with regard to this water source project, Narmada Dam project, Teri Dam project, Almaty Dam project, Kaveri Mahanadi project, hydropower projects issue in Jammu Kashmir, Himachal and northeastern states. Like this different problems are there. With regard to this problem we have to know what is the year. First, whatever may be the problem or whatever may be the thing, you note what is the year. They ask the year. Next, you note what is the issue, why they have raised the issue. Next to this, water conservation. What is meant by watershed? As an agriculture graduate in dry land agriculture, we have studied this watershed. So it is an area that water is collected and it will flow through the common outlet. So that is this watershed. So next with regard to this rainwater harvesting, groundwater recharge, that and all what we have read earlier. Next with regard to this river plants, that is Namini Ganga and Yamuna Action Plan. Next eutrophication, we know what is meant by eutrophication. Next how this restoration should be done, what are the wetlands and what are the Ramsar sites in India. These Ramsar sites already we have discussed earlier. Next with regard to the soil erosion, how this is reclaimed and how it is this desertification is controlled and how land degradation is controlled like that. With regard to this climate change, how we should adapt, how there will be we have to rise for this energy, food security, sustainability like that. Next with regard to this forest conservation movement, as like this water conservation or something others, there is forest conservation movement such as Chipko movement, Apiko movement, Silent Valley movement, Gandhamardhan movement. So this is one of the important topics. So you read this one and you note the year. This year is important, in which state it was done and who led this one. So this leader is very important for this forest conservation. Next, wildlife conservation practices, projects, Project Tiger, which year? Project Elephant, which year? Crocodile conservation. This UNDP Sea Turtle project, which year? Indo-Russian Rhino Vision, which year? So you read, note all the years. Next with regard to this carbon sequestration, carbon credit. Now whether this emerging topic is carbon sequestration and carbon credit. As an agriculture graduate, we all well known about these two topics. Next, waste management, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, when it is created, why it's created, what is its goal, sustainable habitat, this green building and the Griha rating norms. This is, I think so, this is given for this electricity or something vehicles like that. Why it is given, what are the numbers or what is the stars, there will be the different stars will be present. So what is the meaning for each star like that. Vehicle emissions norms in India, epidemiological issues such as these and all caused due to the toxicity of some chemicals such as fluorine or arsenic like that. Goiter, this is that thyroid and another something dengue. So these are some of the epidemiological issues. Next with regard to this environmental disaster, this and all what we have studied in disaster management, our course, Minamata disaster, Love Canal disaster, Bhopal grass tragedy, Chernobyl disaster, Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster. So these are some of the environmental disaster that and all what we have studied. So with regard to this, by watching this video, you may have get the idea. If you are an agriculture graduate, you can easily clear this UGC NET environmental science. That is, you can get JRF. So the entire topic, the entire 10 units what we have studied in our UG agriculture course, it's covering most of the topics. So 70 to 75% of the topic is covered in our BS agriculture course itself. So if you go through this again, surely there is more chance to get clear for this UGC NET JRF with regard to this agriculture graduate. So you can go through this one and you can prepare for this in this short time and you can be able to clear this one. If you are having any doubt, you can give in your comment. Thank you.